Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here. Well, it's election day in Canada, and I expect if you're over the age of 18, please go out and vote. I don't care if you're riding safe conservative, I don't care if you're riding a safe liberal. Please just vote. It helps the general momentum of the country because this entire election is going to be decided by turnout. The election is a complete squeaker. Most of the polls that I trust are all within the margin of error. Either they show the liberals a couple points up, or if they actually switch the question to who's your neighbor voting for, the conservatives are a little bit up. So make sure you turn out and vote. Okay, now on to some normal stuff I usually talk about. I forgot to cover this video yesterday, and it just annoys me to no end because this guy here, he's from the publication The Economist. And I've always known The Economist has leaned left, but it's obnoxious to me when someone comes on to endorse Mark Carney on behalf of the publication and doesn't even really have a good excuse cooked up for why he's good. It's like, oh, Mark Carney's done things and seen stuff, and you should vote for him, I suppose. So this liberal posting says the Economist endorses Mark Carney to build our economy and lead Canada through this economic crisis, which is hilarious because the platform he is running on is just Justin Trudeau's platform, with all of Justin Trudeau's instances of his name replaced by Mark Carney. So let's check this out.
Carney's background, his experience, his connections with Europe and the United Kingdom, to our eyes, that is exactly what Canada needs right now. And in particular, no surprise to hear an economist editor saying this, a lot of Canada's deepest problems are fundamentally economic problems.
Who was advising on it for 5 years? Literally, does no one remember this stuff? It's been 5 years of the man advising our country on the economy, on financial issues. And we are now in the place where we have per capita incomes falling each and every financial quarter, I believe, for over 2 years now. But he's got the background. He's got the connections to France. He's got the connections to the UK. You have to vote for him because his resume tells you to. If you vote for somebody based on their resume, leave. Just leave. Vote for someone because they're going to do the right thing. Obviously, trustworthiness plays into that too. If someone promises you the world, you can't just vote for them if you know they're not actually going to follow through, if you really evaluate their character. But my goodness, Mark Carney could screw up anything, and he would still have people saying, well, he's an economist. You don't want an economist to be running our economy? No, not him.
And so, who better to handle that than a serious economist who has
Oh, he's a serious one, not just a normal one.
surged and become incredibly popular in Canada in just a few short months. So it wasn't really much of a question for us.
So vote for him because he's an economist and he's popular. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, so he's getting rewarded because he happens to be up in the polls. So let's bandwagon, I suppose. I want to highlight this poll that actually came out yesterday. And I thought it was really interesting because I'll have to do a bit of an explainer. This is the Great Canadian Bagel. I sometimes appear on his YouTube channel on the Bagel Cast, but he does his own polls and he also does polling analysis based on the numbers that the mainstream pollsters put out. But in many of the past elections, he has actually been more accurate than the mainstream pollsters with his own homebrew style of gathering respondents for his polls. So he'll kind of like release links to his Google Sheets forms for his polls, just kind of all over the internet. It gets different creators of different political stripes to release the polls into their communities, but doesn't promote it too much. He's not trying to be partisan, even though I know that Chris, the Bagel Guy, he is conservative, but for the point of his polling, he's not just going to conservative creators to promote it because obviously you get a skewed result. And his final result, with over 2,200 respondents, is 40.7% conservative, 37.2% liberal, 9.4 NDP, 2.2 Green, 6.8 Bloc Québécois, and 2.8 PPC. And even then, I really doubt the PPC is going to be getting 2.8%. They're not even running candidates in over two-thirds of the ridings. I might even make a little bit of a pit stop in this video just to talk about this. I find it so obnoxious how many people who are voting PPC, who are hardcores, think that they're like standing up for like truth and principle by doing it. You're not, because Bernier and the PPCHQ isn't even trying to build a real party. You are donating and working for something that might not even exist in 2 months if Bernier gets bored. So I always find it obnoxious where people are like, well, the conservatives didn't win my vote, so I'm not going to vote for them. And I understand the concept. The party has to win your vote, they have to convince you. But there's also the type of person who votes PPC and, frankly, on the left, Green, who don't want their votes won. They want to always be a little bit too good to vote for the mainstream party. I voted for PPC in 2021 because there was a clear motivating reason to. O'Toole was terrible on so many issues, including lockdowns and mandates. And so I voted PPC to demonstrate what I wanted the Conservative Party to do better on. Since then, Poilievre has actually done pretty much everything that the standard PPC member would have wanted from the Conservatives to come back. But you still get people say, well, they're globalists. Well, they're part of the Uniparty, and nothing would change anyways if they got in. Well, isn't it convenient that you vote for the party that's not going to get in at all? And then when the Conservatives fail, you're like, well, they wouldn't have gotten in anyways. Or if they did get in, they would have just failed anyways. It's like, cool. Well, you didn't give them a chance to fail, so I guess we're just going to take your word for it, the person who trusts Bernier to put together a real party. But I just want to bring up the 338 simulator for these bagel numbers. Again, Chris, the Great Canadian Bagel, in the Saskatchewan election, where all of the pollsters missed. They all thought the Saskatchewan NDP was going to win the popular vote by 2 to 5%, and the Saskatchewan Party won by 11.9%. I believe his homebrew poll had it at a +8, +10 Saskatchewan Party, like a popular vote margin. So he was not only actually pretty accurate, he was way more accurate than the mainstream pollsters just because of his style polling. He actually collects postal codes to make sure that he's not just getting a bunch of people in urban areas answering it, and he can weight those people up and down if need be. So now let's bring up the simulator, and I'll start plugging in the values that he has here. So 37.2% for the Liberals nationally. I don't even think I can go down that far. Let's just give him 39. We can go up to about 40. Let's just give the Conservatives a little less because I can't give the Liberals as little as this poll gives them. 9.4% for the NDP. We are going to get 1.7% for the Greens. It's already there. And we give the Bloc 6.8. And do we give it to them? Okay, let's pretend. Let's pretend along with the PPC and that they get 2.8% of the vote. What does this result in? Conservative minority of literally just one seat shy of a majority, 121 to 171, 15 NDP, 1 Green, 35 Bloc Québécois. Now, I'm going to say there is a good chance that this does not happen, obviously. I would still say that Chris is a better pollster than the majority. At the same time, the reason this could not happen is that if people don't turn out, it's not going to happen. So make sure if you're watching this video and you're spending time with Wyatt instead of voting, go vote. Finish the video later. Go vote. Again, doesn't matter what riding you're in, go vote. Because you never know. People say certain ridings are safe, and they are absolutely not. This is the Ottawa area that I have door knocked not that long ago. Canada is in play. Ottawa West Nepean is in play. Nepean is in play. Barrhaven is in play. Every single riding in the Ottawa area outside of Ottawa Centre and the super downtown urban ridings could technically be won by the Conservatives if turnout goes the right way and if support on the ground is good. And when I say it's a turnout election, I mean that insofar as no party is truly leading in credible polls by the margin where even if their people were kind of lazy and didn't show up, they'd still win. This is an election where if the Liberals just decide, we've won, I've seen the polls, we're leading by 12 points in Ecos, and they don't show up, they could lose tons of their ridings. So yeah, it's basically all about turnout. It's about getting young people out. So if you're a parent, make sure your younger kids end up turning out. So I need to turn to the PPC a little bit here. My goodness, I have never seen a party where, despite talking about how we should value principle, absolutely does not value humbleness. I love this lady, Patricia Collin here, who has run, I think, 3 times both in 2019, 2021, and then the by-election in Durham, constantly losing and often losing percentage of the vote, but she keeps going for it. And she'll post stuff like this. This election outcome would save Canada. And this was posted back in early January, but she does like, 47% conservative, and then she X's out these two and then throws in 41 for the Bloc Québécois. No, that's not going to happen. They keep it's wish casting. It's the wish casting party. Here's a post from this PPC candidate. They say choosing the lesser of two evils is not the solution. Sorry, have you established that the Conservatives are one of the evils in this race? Pierre Poilievre fumbled a 20-point lead because he was unable to differentiate himself from Carney and offer Canadians a real conservative alternative. I would say that Conservative Party HQ in certain ways went too soft and they were a little bit too passive. And if they had picked candidates and ridings ahead of time, they wouldn't be scrambling when the election was called. But I wouldn't say that they're not different than the Liberals. They are definitely different than the Liberals. They say this person, Haley here, says, to name a few, Poilievre endorses mass immigration. No, he doesn't. He actually wants to lower it by another 100,000. I would like their limit to be lowered even more, but to say that he is in favor of mass immigration is patently absurd. He is also in favor of multiculturalism. Inherently, it's not terrible. I understand the problems with multiculturalism, but I think that's a bit of a hyperbolic thing to say that he's like in favor of, like, he's in favor of replacing Canadian culture with, like, I don't know, he wants Islamism to rule. He says, often engaging in symbolic gestures like wearing costumes and speaking foreign languages. That's like literally 99% of politicians, including Maxime Bernier. His party unanimously supported Bill C-4. Yes, because O'Toole was going to kick people out of the party if they didn't vote for it, which criminalized parents opposing their child's gender transition. Like the Liberals, Poilievre commits to aiding Ukraine. That's not inherently bad. I don't like the aid we give Ukraine because we're just giving the Chinese government cash to produce drones for Ukraine. So we're paying a Russian ally Canadian taxpayer dollars to go send stuff that is not compromised to Ukraine. It's stupid. We should be just giving them old ammunition and armor, like tanks, but we don't have any of that, so we don't have anything useful to give them. That's my problem with Ukraine aid. We are sending them billions of dollars of, like, kind of slightly useful logistical aid, but it's never actually, like, lethal equipment that they need. And they say, continue tariff disputes. What is Bernier going to do that's going to stop tariff disputes? At some point, there's a dispute because America wanted there to be a dispute, and now we have to solve it. It's not like if Bernier was there would just be no disputes. Upholding Paris Accord net zero targets. No, they're not doing that. Will not repeal Trudeau's costly social programs hindering our provincial autonomy or new laws restricting gun ownership. He actually is. They've been a bit coy about it, but they are definitely going to be trying to limit or partially eliminate things like dental care and the pharma care because it's been a disaster of a program, and all of the stupid housing programs. But yeah, I can end it here. But I have found that the terminally online PPC person, especially the candidates, are often the people who don't actually know the political record very well. They'll say, oh, all the Conservatives vote for C4. Okay. Yeah, O'Toole would kick them out if they didn't. And you gotta realize that biding your time sometimes is smart, because what are you going to do? Get your throat cut over Bill C4, get thrown out of office, and nobody even remembers anything that you end up doing, and it didn't shift votes here or there against what O'Toole was doing? Later, the entire caucus voted in favor of a pro-life bill to protect pregnant women by upgrading sentencing for people who assault or murder pregnant women. Every single one of them voted in favor of it. It's almost like things change. Or we could go back to Bernier, who went to the WEF himself and was a big supporter of full free trade and integration with China. That was a thing. Did he make a mistake? And I am okay with saying, oh, it was just a mistake. Sure. But the thing is, they only consider it a mistake if Bernier does it. If another conservative does it, then it is a deep character flaw that's never going to change. And I find that obnoxious. Now, here's another PPC post I just want to go over today. And it's this. Do we have the other Patricia Collins video? I'm not sure if I do. Oh, I do. We have this Patricia Collins video where it's almost like trying to be like a candid camera thing, even though she's clearly mic'd up, and this is like a professional campaign video where she's like earnestly answering the question of why can't we trust Pierre Poilievre?
It's not Poilievre. Poilievre said he wants to stop the woke.
Oh my goodness, it's Greg Wycliffe filming it. Oh my goodness. If it was already embarrassing, and now you have Greg Wycliffe filming the video.
That's what Poilievre said.
Do you really trust Poilievre? I mean, his words are like veneer. They're paper thin. He didn't stand.
He's actually become more conservative since the leadership election. In the leadership, he never took on gender theory. He took it on since then. He's done a lot of he has hardened his positions on a lot of things since the leadership election. He was not even talking about getting rid of the industrial carbon tax during the leadership. Now he is. It's been quite good. He even has been more open about wanting to cut certain things in government, which has been great. But they will never give him credit.
And with peaceful protesters during COVID.
He was literally at the Freedom Convoy talking to people and supporting them. He opposed lockdowns.
He stayed silent on the mandates, the lockdowns, the
No, he didn't.
harm of the shots, the vaccine injured.
Why weren't Canadians vaccinated in January and February?
Yeah. That was like the position of 95% of people talking about how they were like slow rolling out vaccines. At the same time, he opposed mandates. He's supporting constituents who wanted it faster.
Everyone else.
He's been encouraging these policies of mass unsustainable immigration
No, he hasn't.
with direct flights from India.
And we will bring a direct flight to Amritsar.
I mean,
By the way, that is not supporting mass immigration. I actually think it's a silly policy because it's something that certain people have suggested to Poilievre that he say. No one actually cares about direct flights to Amritsar, which is like the capital of Punjab. That's not mass immigration. That's basically just saying you can fly faster there. That is it. That's not mass immigration. And if you think that's mass immigration, you're grasping.
I don't see him standing up against woke ideologies at all.
Does Patricia just not have an internet connection? He does all the time.
He still is shy about saying there's only two sexes.
He said it on an interview multiple times, even to the point where he was kind of giggling and laughing at the interviewer who was uncomfortable with him saying he doesn't know of more than two genders.
Male and female. I don't trust him. And I don't think he's lost my trust permanently.
When? Apparently you can just make stuff up and say, oh man, he's lost my trust, boy howdy, because he didn't do a bunch of things he totally did, and I just didn't see it because I'm living in a bubble. Being principled but in a complete bubble doesn't mean anything. Because if you're not willing to call balls and strikes and you're just constantly calling the other team unprincipled, you're unprincipled. You're not living up to your own principle. My goodness. And Greg Wycliffe thought that was good footage. That is frankly embarrassing. Greg Wycliffe, by the way, was a 2019 PPC candidate, I believe in Parkdale High Park, and was so incompetent he couldn't even figure out how to complete his financial filings, and has since then not been able to run for election because he didn't do his proper financial disclosures with Elections Canada that every candidate has to do. Anyways, so that should be it for me today, guys. Not today. I'm going to be back later on with another video probably, and I'm going to be doing a live stream starting at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll also be appearing on the Sean Newman podcast as well as Juno News throughout the day. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching the show, and I'll see you next time.